Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight for our 18 News digital exclusive State of the Virus. Now, rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine continues across the country, but a timeline for when everyone can get their shots continues to be moved back. A lot of questions remain about the vaccine, both how it works and when you'll be able to get your shot. Today, we have a special guest joined by Dr. Mona Chitre, the Chief Pharmacy Officer and Vice President of Integrated Clinical Strategy for Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield. Thank you for joining us today, Mona.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So once again, Mona, this week we've seen a lot of cases of COVID-19 continue to drop. So what is kind of a state of the virus in our area here in the southern tier of New York?
So good news is we are seeing drops across all of our communities in New York as well as across the country, but still very important to remain vigilant, very important to still wear your mask, wash your hands, and ensure you keep appropriate 6-foot distance. Although we've seen a slight decrease, the virus is still here. We're still tracking some of the variants. So be vigilant so we can, continue to be safe as a community.
All right, so now that the vaccine is available, what has the rollout process been like for you? Such an unprecedented speed at which this vaccine was developed at.
Yes, absolutely. I think, first, I am just amazed by the scientific innovation, the speed to market, to get this vaccine into our communities within, in a year, less than a year, in about a year of first identifying coronavirus as a pandemic. Now we are at the point of logistics and scheduling and how we ensure we get these really incredible vaccines that require cold storage, that require refrigeration into our communities. So the process continues to occur. It all depends on how much vaccine is allocated to our regions. And I know our community, pharmacists, physicians, hospital systems, and counties are working as fast as they can to ensure we can vaccinate everyone that is eligible. The eligibility is also determined by the state. So right now we have eligibility for healthcare workers. We have eligibility for those kind of in the front line, like teachers and sanitation workers. And also just recently, earlier this week, eligibility was expanded for individuals who have chronic conditions such as diabetes, such as heart disease. So we continue to expand the population who can get vaccinated, but please have patience. This will take time as we work through logistics, scheduling, and of course, the most important supply issue that we're facing.
All right, Mona, you mentioned some of those comorbidities now being the reason people can get the vaccine. Can you kind of go over again who all is eligible now and why are those people with, we talk about heart disease or other mental health issues now able to get the vaccine? Why were they kind of put ahead on the list?
So it's been a phased approach. The first grouping were those that were at highest risk because of exposure. Again, our physicians, our nurses, our pharmacists, our teachers who were exposed to patients, school children, et cetera. The latest grouping are really based on risk. So those individuals who, if they get the coronavirus, could be at a higher risk of, bad outcomes. So heart failure patients, patients who have cancer or are in remission of cancer, those that might be immunocompromised like rheumatoid arthritis or multiple sclerosis and diabetes as an example. So on the New York State website, there is a detailed listing of who can be now approved for vaccination.
All right, we're going to go to our first viewer question here. This is from a 18 News viewer in the Village of Bath, and they're asking, when will those people who are under 65 without those comorbidities be able to get the vaccine?
Yeah, great question. We don't know yet. It's all going to depend on how quickly we can vaccinate those that are already in, the group 1, 1A, 1B, and 1C, those groups that we've already just identified. Again, earlier this week, we just expanded to those individuals with chronic conditions. So I don't know the answer. I know that we will, or not we, the state will move as fast as they can to expand the vaccination population as we continue to, get through those other groupings. But it is a big question. We're closely monitoring from both the federal level as well as at the state level.
All right, and one of the biggest questions we continue to get is how to get the vaccine. So where can people go to sign up to get the vaccine if they are one of those eligible people?
Right. So there are the most straightforward way, although when I say straightforward, it is a process, is to go to the New York State website. There's a New York State website that basically can assess your eligibility. It then also, once you're eligible, it basically will identify areas within your zip code of where you can get vaccinated. Now, please note, every day there is new availability. There are new schedules opening up. So don't be discouraged if the first try, all of the locations in your region are kind of booked. Please keep trying. Again, it is a process. It is based on how much supply we get from the Pfizer and the Moderna manufacturers. And that is the clearest, or I guess the simplest way. Our retail pharmacies are also able to now begin to vaccinate. Those are for individuals age 65 or older. So if you have a retail pharmacy in your region, like a Kinney, a CVS, you can reach out to those pharmacists and check their websites to see if they have any available slots.
All right, we talked about there's a bunch of different vaccines right now. There's the Pfizer and the Moderna, and then soon we're expecting to get the Johnson & Johnson one. So how do these different vaccines work? And if you get the Moderna or the Pfizer or eventually the Johnson & Johnson, is one going to change the level of protection that you get, or maybe how you feel after once you do get vaccinated?
Sure. So there are three vaccines two vaccines already approved. The J&J vaccine is actually going to the FDA for review and approval at the end of this month. They are all similar in the sense that they actually use a genetic technology to create the vaccine. So they sequenced the genetic code of the coronavirus and actually build the vaccine based on genetic instructions, which is different than the flu vaccine or any previous vaccine, which actually used a live flu virus as part of the vaccination process. So one thing to be really aware of, once you are vaccinated with with the coronavirus vaccine, you cannot get coronavirus because of the vaccine. So it is made from genetic instructions, not from the live virus itself. So as you mentioned, there are two already on the market. Both are 2-dose regimens. So the Pfizer vaccine is a 21-day regimen, which means you get dose one, and then your second dose 21 days later. And then the Moderna vaccine is a 28-day regimen. It is very, very important to make sure you get both your vaccines. Why is that? You need both vaccines to get 95% protection. So those protection levels are really unprecedented, pretty incredible, but you need to ensure you get both doses of the vaccine. Do not mix vaccines. I know that's a big question when we're trying to schedule, making sure you get the first one that's the same as the second one. So please remember that if you start with the Pfizer vaccine, you get your second dose with the Pfizer vaccine. Same with Moderna. So that's the 2-dose regimens that are currently on the market today. Again, the J&J vaccine is going to the FDA at the end of this month. That is a 1-dose regimen, also very safe, very effective, but just is, created slightly differently so that an individual only needs 1 dose to get the protection they need against the virus.
All right, and going off of that, we have another viewer question, this one from the city of Corning. Ms. Viewer asks, how safe are these vaccines and how are they tested and at the level that we know how safe they are?
So that's, again, a great question. These vaccines came to market in unprecedented time. The speed and the again, the innovation is absolutely unprecedented. So I'll just comment a few ways here. The first is these vaccines are absolutely safe and they're effective. And a couple reasons to feel a little bit more trust and faith in the process. The first is never in the history of vaccines have we had the best of the global scientists working on a singular cause related to coronavirus vaccine creation. So we had the best and the brightest in the world working together, collaborating, sharing code related to our goal of vaccination, number one. Number two, coronavirus has actually been around for 10 years. We have a 10-year head start on knowing what this virus is. Actually, coronavirus is SARS and MERS, if you remember those viruses from years ago. So we know this virus, and the platform that we're using to create and sequence that genetic code, we also know for 10 years. So think about it as having a 10-year head start. And then finally, the most important component is that these have been thoroughly vetted by the FDA. Same safety protocols, efficacy protocols that we've had in the past still apply today. Now, we've had over 3 million individuals vaccinated in just the United States. There continues to be surveillance. There continues to be post-marketing study done on these vaccines because we want to ensure we learn more as we learn more about the coronavirus. So I get it. Long story here is these vaccines have been very appropriately tested and studied to prove that they're safe and 95% effective.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go to another viewer question here. This viewer wants to know, can someone contract the virus from someone who's already been vaccinated? And are there certain precautions someone who's been vaccinated still needs to take after getting those shots?
Yes, and this is an area of emerging science. So today we don't know. We know that if you're vaccinated fully, you've had your 2 doses, you're very well protected against the coronavirus. But what we just don't know yet is if you can actually transmit the coronavirus to someone else. So can you be what we call those asymptomatic carriers? So emerging science, right now, the guidance is that even if you are vaccinated, or if you're in a family that certain members of your family have been vaccinated, still wear a mask, wash your hands, and keep 6 feet apart, watch your distance, because we don't know yet if those vaccinated individuals can protect others while protecting themselves.
All right, we know right now during the pandemic, a lot of people are out of work and worried about getting the vaccine without any health coverage, but the vaccine, of course, is available to people regardless if they have any kind of health care or any other coverage?
Absolutely. This is the most important component. Do not worry about cost. We are in a pandemic. We need to get our communities vaccinated as quickly as we can so that we can get back to normal. So cost is not an issue for our communities. There is no charge for the vaccine to you, especially we know that so many members of our community are dealing with other things like you've mentioned, job loss, job insecurity. So that this will not be a concern, the price of the vaccine.
All right, Dr. Finally, what do you need our viewers to know the most about right now when it comes to both the virus and the vaccine?
So the virus is still here. The good news is we're working hard to vaccinate our population. We're all remembering the 3 W's of washing our hands, wearing a mask, and watching our distance. But we need to remain vigilant. So please remain vigilant. Get vaccinated when you are able to get vaccinated. And please know that science continues to monitor the vaccine and monitor how coronavirus is changing in our communities. So we're all in it together. And, Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield is here for you.
All right, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, we'll have more next week regarding the vaccine. And viewers, if you have a question about COVID-19 for one of our local experts, you can email us at news@wetmtv.com. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.